So, when I ask, what is Odoo? What comes to mind? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But some people also say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. I mean, whatever your business needs. Manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, I guess Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it. Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
I'm no tech genius, but I knew if I wanted my business to crush it, I needed a website now. Thankfully, Bluehost made it easy. I customized, optimized, and monetized everything exactly how I wanted with AI. In minutes, my site was up. I couldn't believe it. The search engine tools even helped me get more site visitors. Whatever your passion project is, you can set it up with Bluehost. With their 30-day money-back guarantee, what do you got to lose? Head to Bluehost.com. That's BLUEHOST.com to start now.
Welcome to the second part in the 3-part Own Your Part Bootcamp series. In this one, I share about the change process from the perspective of a woman who is still grappling with whether she wants to stay or go. So you're very much in that place where you have not reached the conviction stage of being ready to leave. And if you are, then that's a different phase of the process, and you would just need to go straight to the exit planning course, which is in the link in the show notes if that's where you are. But this is more for you if you are still trying to make it work. You're going to therapy, you're in that phase where you're still trying to decide, is this fixable, is it not? And so I dive into exactly where where you're getting stuck in that, and what would the change process look like if there were one, if you're not ready to make that decision yet, but yet you still want to do the work, you want to evolve, you want to do something, you want to move in a new direction, but you're not sure yet if leaving is being too quote unquote dramatic, too hasty, or you're not even sure at what extent you need to act maybe at this point. You know there's something wrong, you know you're not happy, but you're still hoping it can be changed even after all these years. So I'm meeting you where you're at with this session. And this is really the big part of the work that I taught women, is how to get to this clarity, but through your own self-work. It's not through trying to get him to change. But if there were a process that you could go through to get that clarity, this is what I'm sharing with you in this session. So I hope you get something out of this, some ahas. Come into our Awakening Women Facebook group and share with me if you got anything out of this. And if you would like to get access instantly to this process I've been teaching women since the very first iteration in 2019, then you can head to the link in the show notes of this episode, or you can head to my Instagram bio link where it's there as well. And it's leanneoten.com/ETC enrollment. And you can get instant access to the process, including the change for process for you. So what's your work? What do you need to be doing in this? And what is his work? If he decides, if you're hearing from him and he's saying, I want to work on it, give me a chance, I want to work on it. How do you know if it's just more bullshit? Well, that's what I walk you through in the program so that there's no more of that wondering. I walk you through exact processes and things you can do and bring him into if you choose to get that clarity. And what happens is women put those pieces into action, and it's all, not all of it is mandatory. Some of it you have to decide on a case-by-case basis how much you want to bring him into your process or ask for change with him. It really depends on your spouse, but I give you a couple of processes you can do to get that clarity. Is he really into this or is he not? And that's really what most of the women are doing in the program, even today, is they're still grappling with that and trying to get that clarity. Is this really changeable? He's saying he wants to change. He wants to go to therapy. And then women are trying to find them therapists and all this. So I go into that in depth inside of In the Cycle. But for this session, you're going to learn what would that process for change look like for you and for him. And so it'll give you a taster and a starter as far as what direction you would need to go. All right, I'm going to play that session now.
When I found the self-study program, it was incredible how fast I started to open my eyes to what was actually going on in my relationship. My 8-year relationship with my then fiance was so toxic. And for the longest time, I thought it was my fault. I thought I was doing something wrong, or I was too fragile or too sensitive, or I took things way too dramatically. But after working the self-study and having the Facebook group with Leanne and hearing her on the group coaching calls talk to us and tell us what we need to do in order to find our strength, I realized that I am not the only one at fault. Yes, we all have our faults, but I was able to find my strength, and I was able to see that this was definitely a relationship that was toxic and unhealthy for myself and for my daughter. And with this self-study program, I was able to go through the modules and learn about myself, learn about how strong I truly was, and I'm allowed to set boundaries, and I am able to do that and keep them and be strong in them. And I can't be more thankful because of this transformation.
Hello there and welcome to video 2 of the Own Your Power Bootcamp. Today, as promised, I'm going to be sharing with you the process that I would guide you through if we were to work together or if you were in the ETC program, exactly the things that you need to be focusing on and the things that your partner needs to be focusing on to show that he's truly serious and ready to change. So this part of it is more for you, for your own awareness, not for you to bring your partner in on it just yet. But I just want to give you something to work toward or something to work with. If you have a partner that is saying, I would like to change, I want to do some work, I want to figure this out, and you're kind of just sitting there watching, but not seeing actual change. That's the thing. So I want to show you exactly what are some of the key things he needs to start doing right away, but also what you need to focus on first and how this process actually looks when you implement it into your life using my methods and my ETC formula, protocol, and process. So let's dive in. All right, so we're on day 2 today. We're talking about the change process. So, hang on just a moment here. So a quick recap of video 1. In the last video, we talked about what you might be experiencing right now that is creating a lot of pain, chaos, and frustration in your life and relationship. We also talked and looked at ways your partner has been blaming you for his behavior, as well as how you've been staying in victim mentality due to his behavior and abuse. So let's just recap why we're here. You're here if you're in a relationship and you're experiencing covert emotional or narcissistic abuse. You've been trying to initiate changes for a while now, and you want some clarity and a process to follow to help you know if he can truly change. Or you're just discovering that you've been in a relationship like this and you want to know where to go from here. So you could be in the process quite deep already, or maybe you're just waking up and discovering what is going on. You're going to discover today why having a process and a concrete plan with your next steps will help you save so much time, stress, worry, and anxiety, and will actually likely save your health, because I've seen countless stories of women in these types of relationships while their body was starting to actually shut down, and lots of issues going on adrenally with their adrenals, thyroid, hormones, all of that, because being in that type of dynamic is very, very hard on your health, hard on your body, hard on your mind and your body and your spirit. Okay, so knowing what to do first and have a process to go through is going to save you a lot of all of that unnecessary anguish and possibly even your health as you move through this process. So as promised, By the end of this boot camp, you'll walk away with your next steps and clarity about what needs to happen next in order to shift your relationship and for you to start reclaiming your personal power and peace. So why am I so passionate about this topic? Well, as I touched on in yesterday's video or the previous video, I have a personal connection with this through my own personal experiences in life with relationships like this on varying levels. But what I've really been passionate about since the very first day I opened up my holistic counseling practice nearly 8 years ago is empowering women when they are beaten down, when they're feeling low on themselves, when they're experiencing depression and they're feeling like they're stuck and they can't break through. Seeing women actually have those breakthroughs in session or through the work that we do together is what keeps me going. It keeps me lit up. It keeps me passionate about this work. So Awakening Women is just another extension of the work I've been doing with women to help them in their relationships. And what I really believe is that when you make the decision to change the direction of your life and you make your own wholeness and your self-care and your self-love and your inner peace the focus, everything begins to shift and transform as a result. And that happens in any area of our life, but very much so in a relationship like this, because you can't change anyone else. All you can do is start within yourself first. And that is really the process that I guide my clients and ETC students through, is we start with you first. The first 30 days in the program with me, which is a 30-day program, is about focusing on you. We don't even necessarily bring him into it just yet because you have some work to do first. So again, it's just my passion to help women awaken and build that self-connection, have those aha moments, the breakthroughs, and step into that sense of power where they just make this full-bodied decision that what they've been tolerating up till now is not going to happen anymore. And when they start to do that, when we start to do that, things have to shift. We don't know what the outcome will be, but when you do start to do this, I can guarantee you change will happen. And sometimes that's scary, but sometimes you're just ready for it and you're like, hey, come at me, life, whatever, because all I know is right now, I can't do this another day. And so what I like to say is that you can't change everything in a day, but you can change your direction in a day. You can choose in this moment to change the direction you're heading by changing what you're doing within yourself, how you're showing up, by working on you. So by the end of this class today, you'll have a step-by-step roadmap of the changes you and your partner will have to make to create a healthier and more balanced relationship, if that is something that you decide that you want to do. And I'm guessing if you're here, you're still wondering, is there hope? Is there, I want off this yo-yo roller coaster. I know I don't want what's been going on. And he's been saying he's going to change, and maybe he does for a little while, but it just reverts back to the same old crap again. You're wondering, like, is there something I'm missing here? Like, maybe there's hope, maybe there's something we haven't tried. Then this is what you're going to have some clarity on in this class. So here's some things you might have already tried. So you might have already tried counseling. So that might even be for yourself. Maybe you've tried couples counseling and you found it only made things worse. I had an Instagram post that went berserk that I posted about this topic, about the dangers of working with a therapist, especially a couples therapist, that doesn't understand narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse, covert abuse. And the thread just went wild underneath with women sharing their stories of what happened when they went in for couples counseling with an uneducated, unaware counselor that didn't know what was going on. So if you've already tried this, you've likely, unless the person is very skilled and very knowledgeable and knows how to navigate couples therapy with someone with narcissistic traits or narcissism, then you probably had the same experience where it didn't go anywhere or it just was more traumatizing and didn't move the needle forward. So that's why you need a plan and a process created by someone who has the expertise, knowledge, skill, and personal experience to guide your personal journey. An unaware, uneducated counselor cannot guide the process effectively. You'll just be floundering and feel like you're not actually getting to the root of the issues. And that's the thing that I have worked on through my entire career, is getting to the root of issues. So that's not any different with health as it is to depression, anxiety, or something that's going on in your relationship. Some things you might have already tried would be reading books about marriage and communication improvement, right? You're thinking, well, it must be me. I'm obviously not bringing this up well enough, or maybe it's that I am too intense, or I'm not communicating effectively. So you start reading all these books on communication and your love languages and using I statements and assertive communication, building emotional connection, attachment theory, and all the rest, which very well could work in a relationship where this stuff isn't going on. But in a relationship like this, it is going to be very minimally effective if it is at all. In fact, it could actually start to make things worse. You have to know exactly what it is you're dealing with and how to navigate it effectively. Standard marriage advice and assertive and conscious communication tactics won't work if your partner is stuck in his narcissistic ways. You need actual tools and strategies to keep you out of the crazy-making cycle and standing in your power. So you might be wondering, well, what if my partner refuses to go to counseling or read any books? So part of the process and plan for change I teach addresses this. But for the initial 30 days, he doesn't have to actually do anything for you to start your change process. So if that's where he's at right now, we can just let that go. And I always say to my clients, we're going to shrink him down and put him on a shelf for 30 days. And we are focusing on you, getting you in a better, stronger, more empowered place. From that point, then you can go through the changes for him process and bring him into it if you desire, if he wants to. But if that's where you're at, that is okay, because you do not have to wait for him to be ready to grow for you to keep growing. And my intention is to help you grow and have exponential breakthroughs and transformation in the ETC program if you decide to join us. So I'm going to be leading you to exactly what needs to happen for you to increase your odds of getting your partner on board with growth and change. Today we'll be touching on that as well. You can't move forward when you're stuck in the fog of confusion of what's yours and what's his. This is where it gets really murky when you're enmeshed like this and kind of like entangled in this mess. You don't know what's yours, what's his, because you're reacting, he's reacting, you're having your emotional response, and he's blaming you for things, but you think it's actually him, and it's just this mess. So that's why in the 30 days, I actually have you pull back and we do this work on you so you can get crystal clear on what is your issues and what are his and what he needs to deal with. That is no longer your mess to clean up. It's no longer your job to fix him, to be his coach, to enable what he is doing. It's his job to deal with his own stuff. And I want to help you get to a place where you can detach from that without all the anxiety and worry about what's going to happen if you go into that stance of, I'm no longer worrying about what he's doing, I'm focusing on me, because anxiety can come up. It's imperative to the process that you do that work. This is why my process includes a concrete and specific plan that is step by step for your change and your transformation. And we'll be talking about what will need to happen in this video. All right, so before we go on to the next slides, I just want to share another ETC student testimonial. ETC has helped me to become more empowered and know that I'm not alone, crazy, or asking for too much. I learned ways to communicate effectively, to not allow myself to self-sacrifice all the time, and to keep my boundaries in place. It also helped me to connect with other women in similar situations and find ways to break the cycle. And when more, the program has helped me not just with my husband, it's currently helping me with a friend that has intense mental health issues. I'm handling things so much differently just from healing me. And that is a testament to exactly what I've been talking about here, is that you have been putting the focus so much outward that you haven't been focusing on yourself. And we're going to go more into that. All right, so here's a rundown of your work. This is the work that you will have to take responsibility for, whether you stay in this or not. Regardless, this is work that you need to do on yourself, because if you don't do it, you're just going to repeat the cycle in another relationship. So this is your work. So this isn't exhaustive, but I didn't want it to be like overwhelming. And understand too that a lot of this stuff is covered in, in a structured way. So you're not like overwhelmed. It's very structured how I guide the process. But turning the focus towards self and your own wholeness and healing from the abuse and from what you've experienced, the past conditioning that has led you to this relationship. You have to really know very clearly how you ended up here and how you have actually made it okay to stay. Because if you're still in it and he's not changing and it's continuing, you are making it okay in a sense. And there are some things you need to be doing to draw a line in the sand so that it is no longer okay. Because it's obviously still working for him, right? What he's doing has worked for him his whole life, and it's continuing to work because what are the consequences, right? Has there been any consequences for him not changing? Probably not. The next thing is you're going to get support from empowering mentors and community. You need to have others around you, whether it's the Awakening Women support group and you use the free group. If you find your own support wherever you are in the world with someone that actually understands this, that's the key. I keep saying over and over, someone that actually gets this and they know how to help you to deal with the root causes and the healing of that and to navigate this properly. Really important. And a community of other women who get you and they're going through similar things is priceless. It will help you to feel more clarity and like you're not going crazy, because sometimes that's how it can feel because nobody else sees it, nobody else gets it. You need mentors and you need community that gets it. You're going to get clarity on your non-negotiable needs and your sacred needs and values. You're going to learn how to cope emotionally when you feel triggered by his behaviors so you don't set yourself up for him blaming you. You're going to learn some simple and effective self-healing tools for calming your intense emotions, as well as have support with how to respond to the certain tactics and behaviors that you are experiencing every day that maybe you don't know how to respond to. Maybe right now you're kind of leaving it, walking on eggshells because you don't want to escalate things. Maybe you are reacting intensely and emotionally and it just causes everything to blow up and maybe you to act in ways that aren't in your best interest, that are not your best self. So really looking at how are you responding to this stuff right now? That's like a key thing you can journal on right now, actually. Is how are you responding to this stuff right now? Are you going inward and going too far inward to where you're isolating? You're not getting support. Maybe you're feeling depressed and hopeless. Or are you overreacting and experiencing a lot of anxiety and panic and hypervigilance and all of that? So get clear on how you're coping and reacting now. You're also going to make your self-care a top priority, breaking out of the patterns that are feeding the dynamic. And some of those are walking on eggshells or allowing him to actually control you. And you are doing it in a lot of ways that maybe you don't realize right now. You also need to know the cycle in and out. So many women who have taken ETC have said that that was one of the biggest things, is that they started to really know the cycle. And you might think you already know it, but the way that I teach it and explain it is very different. So it's not just like your basic cycle of abuse that you might find online. There's very specific things that happen and emotions that happen and tactics and the wording that they use and phrases. It's almost like textbook. So once you know what to expect, you're armed with, you know it, you're ready, you see it, you know how to respond because you've got those responses ready that I teach, and you have a community to get feedback and accountability, but also validation. That is a powerful combination for you to start dealing with this stuff head on. You have to know the cycle and how to use this as a tool for self-healing, clarity, and empowerment. You're going to learn healthy boundaries and how to use them to draw a line with your partner. That's the key. And I know that sounds like, it just seems like it'd be assertive communication, but it's not. And everybody in this boot camp is going to be in a different place where maybe you've done no boundary setting at all, or you have, but he's just a boundary bully and keeps overstepping. Or maybe your boundary skills have been ineffective because you're not going about it in the most effective way. So that's the other thing. And that is why ETC comes with the Boundary Bootcamp, because I'm teaching you about that stuff as well. Oops, hang on here. Sorry. All right, so his work, and again, as I said, this is just for your own awareness because you're not bringing him into this at this point. You have your own work to do first, okay? But I'm giving you this information so that you have something to go with. Number one, he needs to hit a point where he's forced to address his abuse and his narcissism. And if something hasn't happened to create that naturally just by his own poor behavior or something happening that brings it to a head, then you need to create the intervention. And I do teach you how to do this, but it basically is where you are the person that is stepping in going, this has to change, and here's how, and here's the new deal. And you have to be strong enough to stand in that and mean it with your full entire body and soul. He needs to address his feelings of low self-worth, low self-esteem, insignificance, inadequacy, and his beliefs that he's entitled. You don't act the way that your partner probably acts, if you're listening to this, unless you feel entitled to treat people that way. So it's up to you to go, guess what? This is a new game we're playing now. This ends here, and you are not entitled to talk to me that way, to treat me this way, to expect this, that, and the other. It ends here. He also has to see he has a problem, and he has to want to change. Otherwise, nothing is going to, he might take some of the actions, but they're not going to really stick because you're not dealing with the root cause, and he's not in a place to change. He needs specific types of therapy for him to go to on his own. I don't recommend couples counseling, especially in the initial phase where you're doing your work. He needs to be doing his own work. You need your own support. He needs to figure out his own. And in ETC, I've included a resource guide and more details around this, exactly what he needs to do, the types of therapy, what he needs to focus on, as well as a resource guide of books and other things that you can use that are for him and you together. So that is also included. But just for the sake of this video, it's just any types of counseling isn't going to work if the counselor doesn't understand narcissism. Or if the counselor thinks narcissism is what you find in the DSM, which is our diagnostic manual. Covert narcissism doesn't fit that. It doesn't fit because it's different. So it has to be someone that gets the root of those, okay? He needs to have at least a willingness to learn and make the required changes. He may not know how, or he may not fully be on board or fully like, yes, I get it, I have a problem, but he has to say and show that he's willing, that he's hearing what you're saying, that it's a problem, and he has to get to a place where he's seeing the impact and he's willing. But maybe he doesn't quite know what that is yet. And while I don't work with men at this point, I will be offering the resource kit that you can give to him and share with him when you're a member of ETC. So that's a place to start. His work is he also needs to know exactly what to do to repair the lost trust and regain your feelings of safety. And it is up to him. It is up to him to rebuild the trust and to be actively working on this every single day. He needs to be actively doing some key and specific things to show he's changing over the long term. And you're going to have this, but you're not sharing it with him in the beginning. Because in the beginning, for the first 30 days, as I said, you're getting clear on you, what's going on, what the impact has been, and you're going to be witnessing and watching and observing and paying attention to yourself. So you're not sharing this with him in the beginning. If you went to him with this list of guns a-blazing, it's not going to go anywhere. You have some work to do on yourself before you can even take that step. And he also needs a step-by-step process and some kind of a checklist. Dudes like checklists. So if you have something you can print off where you're showing him and saying, I've just done this program, I've done this work on myself, I've done these things, and these are the things that I need from you. Are you willing? Are you on board? And you actually get him to sign the thing, right? It's just a show of good faith that he is agreeing to this. That's what I recommend. And I show you exactly how to do that in the program. But he needs a step-by-step process to follow that he's accountable for with his own counselor, though. not necessarily you. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some things that you need in order to feel like he's actually doing the work. But I just mean you're not the one that is saying, have you gone to your counseling? Have you worked on this with your counselor? What's going on? Give me updates about what you're working on. You can ask those things. But the point is that you're not the sole person that is holding him accountable. So we want you to kind of step out of that role. But again, it doesn't mean there isn't a place for saying, so what are you working on right now? What are the things you're working on? I need to know. Nothing wrong with that. So at this point, you might be thinking, how do I know that this will actually work? Like, how do I know if me putting this focus on me, doing the work on me, is actually going to work this time? Well, I can't guarantee anything is going to work, but what you do know is that right now it's not working. And obviously, because you're the common denominator in this, there are some changes you need to make, whether you stay or go. Because if you do not do the work now, then you're just going to end up attracting a very similar dynamic with similar feelings and patterns, because it starts within you. So making these changes along with the tools and support provided inside of ETC will actually bring about shifts within you that you'll start to feel right away. And this is no word of a lie. When you start doing this internal work and being guided to the root causes therapeutically, to look really deep into the psychology of it, the emotional aspect, and the spiritual and energetic aspect that I teach, you're going to start having shifts and feeling differently pretty quickly, because you're going to be looking at areas you have not looked at. The changes made within you are not related to what he's doing or not doing, and you don't need him to be on board to feel better within yourself right away. Because the fact is, you're here because of what you're experiencing. You're done with it. You're done with how you feel. So my focus for the first 30 days in ETC is to get you feeling better. From that place, you can invite him in the process should you decide to go that route. It's up to you. You might do ETC and realize that there is no hope, that you don't even want to try anymore, and there is no right or wrong here. Or you might realize that, hey, there is some hope here, and I'm going to take it into the phase 2 of bringing him into that. Your choice. I'm not here to tell you what to do whatsoever. I'm here to hold the space and hold the community for you to discover this on your own. But before any of this can happen, there's one big problem that must be solved. There's one thing you have to absolutely stop doing that is going to give you almost instantaneous feelings of relief. And I'm going to be sharing that tomorrow. And it's something you can implement right away. Whether you decide to join ETC or not, it's something that you can start working and practicing right away to bring more peace and just that feeling of safety within yourself, because you have to have it within yourself before you can ever feel it with someone else. So I'm going to share that with you tomorrow. Or sorry, I should say video 3, because maybe you're watching this later and you're watching all these in one day. So video 3. So here's your awakening truth number 2. You are the common denominator, and up until now, you've been allowing certain behaviors to continue. So you must shift those within you before you'll see a change outside. You have to shift first, then you will see something shifting externally. You don't know what that means, if it will be what you're hoping it will be, but the point is that you're at this place right now where you just know something has to change. You don't really know what that is, but you know you're done. But it has to start within you first. Your awakening mindset shift is you should feel loved a great majority of the time. There's a difference between healthy conflict and toxic conflict. And even when your partner disagrees, there should still be an air of feeling of love, safety, and acceptance. And you should still feel valued and respected, even when you're in a disagreement. And when this isn't the case, you must create healthy boundaries for yourself so you can maintain your internal peace and safety, even if he's not being respectful. Again, it's about you. It always comes back to you. As I said in the next video, I'm going to share one major thing you need to stop doing right now to shift the dynamic in your relationship fast and regain your inner peace. So here is your awakening journal prompts for this lesson. I'm just going to see if I can move this video out of the way. So your awakening journal prompts are: get out your journal and really just go deep into these, okay? You can pause here if you'd rather just write them down. That's totally fine, but I'm just going to read them out. How many of the required steps listed has your partner already taken to show you he's truly ready to change? Get honest with yourself about the reality of where you are now. And for you, how many of the steps I listed for you are you doing right now? Maybe there's a couple. Maybe there's some more that you could be doing right now. In what ways are you too focused on him and ignoring your needs, wants, feelings, and desires? And I would love you to post any of your ahas or awarenesses from today's lesson inside of the Awakening Women Facebook group. Some final thoughts is that if you don't do the work now to shift internally what has created this situation, because everything starts internally. I'm not blaming you, that is not it, but it is about something within you has created this condition, this circumstance, this relationship, and there's work for you to do on your own self-healing to discover why that is, so you don't end up in another situation like this down the road. There's nothing more painful than being in one relationship, escaping it, only to find yourself in the same situation. I've heard stories from women who have been in multiple relationships and have, kids from different relationships. And sometimes they wait years and years and years between relationships only to find themselves still in a same kind of dynamic, maybe with someone that's more covert. Maybe this is what I've seen with clients and women in my own life. I know a couple of women where this was the case, where they were in more of an overt abusive relationship, then they ended up in a covert type. So it looks kind of different, but it still ends up feeling similar. And so you have to do the work internally so that you're not a vibrational, energetic match, psychological match for that, because you will get to a place where you're so strong within yourself that you wouldn't tolerate something like that for 1 second. Somebody's disrespect or jab or criticisms, you would see it and run the other way. And that's really what I want for you. So that's it for this lesson, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.